All right, is it gonna record this time? Hopefully, hopefully it will. Good morning, good afternoon, hello. This is Sunday, the 25th of January. But as you can see, this is a trade that I took on the Friday, the 23rd of January. This was a trade that I took. If I have Notion, yeah, I don't have it open again. Let me open that real quick. Yeah, there we go. This is the third trade I took. New Zealand US dollar. I took one lot size. Starting balance, as you saw from the last trade that I took, was a loss, which 3,800, 3,800, $3,008 $32 pounds. Starting balance here, yeah, we made a point of profit and loss of £33 54, which could have been more. We'll get into that. But we are still unprofitable. We have another win under our belts with an A grade setup, so we're happy. I followed my rules, I followed myself. It's just a case of emotions getting the better of me during the trade, which we have learned from, and I'll also get into later in the video. Yep, we're recording right. Because I already recorded this on Saturday evening, and for whatever reason, OBS just didn't want to it didn't want to record my screen. It froze. So hopefully you're seeing everything well. You're seeing it good. Going into the trade, this was Friday. I was at work and I got the alert. As if you saw my previous video, actually, you also saw I woke up and that was the same day that I took the trade. Um, yeah, I took the trade, and yeah, that Friday when I woke up early in the morning, there was two markets which had set up because the prices got hit, but the setups weren't good enough for me to take, and they never worked out. So I'm very glad that I didn't take those setups because this one later came and it was a good setup. It was a great setup even. And if I took those before, I would have lost the trades and I wouldn't have been able to even see this because I would have not taken any more trades that day. My goal moving forward, and it's always been the goal, is one trade a day. If you win the trade, cool. If you lose the trade, cool. You don't take another trade until the next trading day, Monday to Friday. So, yeah, going into the trade, it was pretty good. GBP, I mean not GBP, New Zealand US dollar. As you can see, the higher time frame was going for us. I'm trying to remember what actually marks this, but yeah, higher time frame was going. Where was this from? Okay, yeah, this must have been from ages ago. Yeah, another point that I've been making is price. Even from months ago, for whatever reason, price will also reflect off of that, which is something initially when I was getting into backtesting is I'd have point of interest. For example, if I didn't know about this before, so I wouldn't have had the point of interest there. I would have had all of these, but price would have bounced off of here, and I would have been like, "What the heck?" I had my point of interest down here. Why didn't price come down here? It reflected early, but now this comes with experience. This comes with taking more trades and backtesting, confidence and understanding, which is what I've been praying for. God is good. I understand that it's possible for price, even as far as back here, 19th of September, 2025, all the way up until January 23rd, 2026. Price can bounce back off, and it did here. We had the daily time frame going for us in terms of bullish momentum. We had the weekly going for us in terms of bullish momentum, and we also had the monthly bias going for me in bullish momentum. So all systems will go in terms of having a bullish bias going into this trade. If we go back onto the trade itself, the psychology behind the trade, I saw that price touched it. I got the alert that price touched the point of interest. I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave it again. Let's see if it crosses the point of interest because that's the main starting point of my setup analysis, understanding whether a setup is good or not. Price needs to cross the point of interest, and as you can see, it didn't here. I'll get into why I still took it in the first place, but price touched the point of interest. I checked again and I saw that about 15. I was at work, as I said, so it was a case of me just, hopping off it on my phone. I didn't have my laptop. This was literally all on my phone. I saw that there was a fair value gap here. A Sibi, is it? Bearish. It might be a Bissy, but I'll have to re up my knowledge on that. But we had a bearish fair value gap here. I was waiting since the point of interest wasn't crossed, right? I wanted not just confirmation for the range to be broken like it was here to take the trade, but I also wanted the fair value gap to get inversed with good volume as well because with previous trades that I've taken, It was a case of the volume wasn't enough, even though I thought it was. So now I've become very critical of the amount of volume that either the buyers or sellers have going into a setup. So I know for sure that that's the direction that it's going, and that's a proper correction and continuation. So I went to the fair value gap to get invested here. 45 minutes later, roughly an hour later, it did so, and I was like, okay, cool, we're gonna enter the trade. Despite the point of interest not being broken past, it's not an exact definition of okay, the point of interest. This line is where the buyers are sitting or where the sellers are sitting. It needs to cross. Obviously, that's a perfect indicator as well. If it, I mean, not an indicator, but it's a perfect sign as well. But I have to take it into account the small range around the point of interest where buyers or sellers could be sitting, and this I need to refresh my knowledge if there's an objective way to actually calculate this in terms of pips. But this was a decent enough range for me to be like, okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. Let me actually draw a box here so it's easier to. But roughly here would have been like a decent enough range for me to be like, okay, buyers are sitting here. So if um if the price reacts anywhere in this area, I know that the buyers are, the buyers actually might be setting up to return to liquidity. So yeah, that's what happened. I entered the trade here after seeing that there was enough volume. I was like, okay, fine, I'll enter the trade. Stop loss taken. Pardon me. Stop loss marked where it's usually marked, right below the. Pardon me, where price reached before reversing, before correcting. Pardon me. Take profit. Take profit. I usually put here. It would usually be right here, where liquidity is. Let me mark that off. That's the weekly time frame. Liquidity. This is where I'd usually take profit. However, going into the trade, I was wary and I was cautious because the price didn't cross the point of interest line. That's just what was playing on my mind. So I thought I'd be reserved and place liquidity. That's the wrong one. Let me just copy and paste this one. I thought that I'd be reserved and place liquidity here. So you're asking, Josh, your liquidities are there. Why does the trade say it closed here? That's a very good question. We're going to get into it. Going into the trade, price is moving up, moving up, moving up, moving up. But the fact that it didn't cross the point of interest, even though I had taken a trade before this, right? My first ever trade, right? That ended up working. The price didn't actually touch the point of interest, but I still let it run. I think I actually took partials, but I still let it run to liquidity and it ended up working out. Here, for whatever reason, emotions were playing on my mind. Yeah, so I told myself in this trade that I'd wait until around here, 80%. I'd wait for 80% and then I'd take partials and then I'd let it run to liquidity. Price got to around here and I saw that the price it wasn't moving. So I was like, oh my goodness. And then I saw it reverse down like this briefly and I was like, okay, that's it. Roughly around here. So mind you, I didn't place the take profit at the original point of interest. I didn't even wait until it got here to the normal point of interest where I was like, okay, liquidity's here. And that's my reserve judgment. I didn't even let it reach 80%. But when price reversed, I panicked and I took partials. I took about 60% partials and I moved my stop loss to break even right here. Price continued to reverse, and it hit my break even. I left my laptop alone. I was like, okay, cool. Because I'd taken the trade, I put it up on screen, and I still made a profit on that £30, yeah, as you saw. However, throughout the rest of the workday, I was checking the market again. Price began to rise up. I was like, oh no, don't do this to me. Price continued rising up. Sure enough, it hit the liquidity. And I was like, oh, wow. I guess it did end up hitting it after all. And then it hit the original liquidity, which is what the trade calls for, which is what my strategy calls for. Price will always, unless the market just does whatever it wants, it will always go back to liquidity right here. This is where price wants to return to. This is where liquidity is. This is where price is just being ingrained in me. It's been conditioned into me that this is where price is. Not because I've been told and I've been researching the strategy, but because I've done backtests numerous times. If the setup is good enough, price will return there. setup was good enough here. So I should have had the faith in my strategies to know that price would return there. And it did. But because I panicked here during the trade, I moved the stop loss and it ended up running. Um Straight to the stop loss, of course. It's almost as if this is so intentional by God, right? Look at this right now. Look how it's literally right just slightly beyond the break even and then it reverses up. Of course the price goes down a bit more, but I feel that's so intentional by God that he's trying to tell me, like, bro, if you just left the stop loss alone and you had faith in your strategy, you would have been good. Like I said, this trade was a win. I took profit, right? But I was feeling bad about the fact that this happened in the first place initially. And I spoke to some people and they just reaffirmed it that you just need to look at trading as a test. You just need to look at it as you need to have faith in the research that you've done. Take it. I've got this really good piece of advice, which was like, you need to taking a trade is like taking a test. You can't. Oh, hold on. Let me even get the message up on Discord, man. Because where is it? Oh, goodness, this video is not gonna take a while because I want to go into another trade as well. It was in trading stoically. There we go. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but you can see roughly. Just keep in mind when yeah, literally. Yeah, so you can pause and read, but easy money, I appreciate you, bro. This advice really helped me, and it helped me rationalize. It helped me calm down. Know for future trades. I didn't go to look for more trades after this. I didn't try and do anything. I just took it on board, and yeah, I'm happy that I'm profitable with the free trades this month because that's the goal. This is currently the 25th. I feel why can't I? What am I looking for? Notion, yeah. I'm looking for. So the first trade was when? I need to start putting the dates here. But it was the 9th, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure it was the 9th of January. So that's when the 3 months of going profitable started. So we're going up until February 9th, February 9th, March 9th, April 9th. So from April 9th, what date is that even? Because if it's a weekend, we might just need to cut that short, man. April 9th is a Thursday. That's cool. So we'll wait until then. 3 months profitable. It's looking like January will be profitable. Taking into account that I won't make any silly mistakes, which I'm not foreseeing that I'll do because I'm gaining a lot of confidence as we'll get into very shortly. And I'm just very happy with this. I'm very happy with the lesson that I learned here because yeah, that's all I got to really say regarding the trade. You can see here, you can see the lesson that I did and that I learned from it. And I'm going to document this, put it on YouTube so I can continue to come back to it and remember. Now, this happened literally about 10, 20 minutes ago. I was backtesting again. And this is on GBP USD, which is probably why I made the mistake earlier. We had bearish momentum on the daily, on the weekly, but on the monthly we didn't. Yeah. So I was going into this setup on the daily when I was marking. I was like, okay, all right, we have the point of interest marked on the daily. We have weekly going for us, but we don't have monthly. So I'm not going to have my hopes too high for a setup. If nothing comes about it, I'm not going to be too frustrated like I have been before, not knowing why. Because weekly, I was probably taking trades without weekly or monthly being on my side. And I was like, why am I losing? Because of this, right? So it's good to just see all of these little things. I smile every time I like recognize the progress that I'm making. Um, Getting into it, we had the fair value gap, but on the bullish, BISI, CBA, I need to remember. Price instantly reversed off with decent volume, uh, broke the range, inversed the fair value gap. I waited for this candle just to make sure we had decent volume because I was cautious with this one because I was like, oh, our buy is still about. But after this one, I was pretty confident in the sell. Entered the trade. And what I like to do is, although I'm on the 15-minute time frame, I like to slow it down. So it'll play like this rather than instantly having the candles move along like this. Just so I can simulate like the feeling of actually being in a trade, like this. I don't want it to go too fast because I don't want it to rush because I want to simulate almost the feeling of being in a real trade. One of these backtesting sessions, I'll just leave it for like I'll just leave it on like seconds just so it runs by so slowly. So if price reverses, I'm gonna actually feel every single second of it, even though it's just a back test. I'm gonna feel every second, so I can just continue to continue just to train that when it comes to doing evaluations and whatnot. So I hope you can understand when I say that. How long is this video going on for? I'm not gonna go on for too long. Don't worry. Where are we at? I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna edit this as well because I got church in a minute. I need to get ready for church soon, so it might be a case of me just posting this as choppy and as unorganized as this is, but I'm just gonna post it. I'm not really posting these yet for popularity or like just to gain views or for the quality of content right now. I'm just documenting right now. Those will come in time when I actually feel like I have very good points to make in videos. Obviously, this is a very good point in itself, but you know how it is. Anyways, let's. I don't want to get too distracted. We entered the trade here. I slowed it down. Price came up here, and I was like, oh. Price came up here, and I was like, oh, let's chill out. Let's chill out. And then price started to reverting down as planned. Price liquidity was here. Lowest point of the day. This is where we want to price. I thought about putting it here, but I was like, no, let me not make the same mistake as last time, right? We're learning from mistakes. Let me put the liquidity here because this is where liquidity is. This is where it's sitting. This is where price wants to go. So even though the monthly wasn't going for us, which is also like a reasonable reason why I wanted to put it here rather than here, I was like, no, let me have faith in my strategy and this setup because this is a Z grade setup right here. This is Z grade. The only thing I'd say, which you could argue, which is why it's not Z grade, is because the monthly is not going for it. That's why you can make the argument that it's maybe A grade. But time was on our side here. It was just about in between that London New York session. Like this around the time I love to trade. This is probably like ideally I could take trades every single time around 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. around my time. I won't take a trade probably after like 4 p.m. though because that's getting late and liquidity starting to die down, volume starting to die down. But yeah, price came down again, reversed back up, and I felt this because it was slowed down. I felt it coming up. I was like, oh my, I felt those feelings again. But I remembered from last time, I was making progress. Sure enough, price came down, 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 and it reached liquidity right here, and it started to move up again. Afterwards. Oh no, it's going even further down. That's fine. Um, but yeah, this is just proof that my strategy it works, man. I have a very very good strategy here, and all I need to continue to do is just continue to have faith in it, continue to just work on it, back test on it over the next 3 months, live test on it. I feel like the biggest challenge with the live test is gonna be the time, just sitting and waiting for it to happen because it's not just like a which is why I came up with the idea of like slowing it down in the back test because um you feel every second when you're live testing. If you're not looking at your laptop, I could do a better job of probably just leaving my laptop alone. Just closing the laptop and checking hours later if the trade worked out or not. That's probably a good way to go about it. But if you're anything like me, you're like, I need to see how the trade is doing. Um, that's something to work on. That's another thing to just work on and have faith on, and God that will work out. But yeah, this is my I feel journal. I wrote this just now before recording. I can read it out real quick. Before I felt confident in the setup, I took the time to properly ensure it was a good it was actually good, like I felt it was, and it was indeed so. I had the confidence to do so. I'm really happy that I learned from my previous live trade where I took partials and moved to stop loss to break even, just for the price to stop me out and go to take profit. I ended the trade profitable, but I still felt like it was a loss. I took the lesson that I just needed to have faith in the setup and leave it in, which I remembered and did here, which price pulled up. God is good. God is allowing me to take the small losses to keep learning. I'm so grateful. Yeah, amen, man. And yeah, I'm just happy with this back test that I've taken after the live test that we've just analyzed here. Um, yeah, that's all I really got to say regarding this video. I'm happy with the progress I'm making. Today's a Sunday. So come the end of today, after I got everything going on, Arsenal game is on there. I got church in a bit that I'm gonna start getting ready for. I actually need to rush, bro. I'm gonna be late if I don't get ready soon. But God is good. We're learning, we're making progress. Everything is going well. So hopefully this week is another good week. If there's any subs for me, we'll take it. We'll follow the strategy to a T. That's the main. That's the aim. That's all I gotta say. So God bless you guys. Hope you all continue to be profitable, continue to trade stoically, and all works out for you. Amen.